going to talk about media in general, and we're going to talk about horror films. So we've been told to make a trailer of a horror film, and you as our target audience, we need to find out what you want and what you expect in horror films. So does anyone here watch horror films?
Yeah.
Watched a few.
What horror films have you watched?
Scream 1, 2 and 3. House of Wax.
The Conjuring. Oh, why not?
The Exorcist.
Both the Ring films and Born.
So do you think all of those films have something in common? That's what you want me towards those stuff.
The films or the trailers?
The films.
The
In fact, I've never heard of half of them.
With mates, so they were like little children that scare them and all that. Yeah, that's a good one.
The children.
Got kids in it.
So it's always the music. It's quite dark and tense.
I think it's more about what you don't see as opposed to what you do see. I think generally the horror films that don't frighten me, the ones where you see the villain or what it really is straight away. Whereas if that's kind of hidden from you, they're the ones that tend to interest you more, give you the thrill factor.
Do you prefer the more supernatural then, rather than slashers where there's a kid?
Yeah, I do, yeah, supernatural.
I'm the same. I don't, when I was all blood, guts and gore, don't really scare me. It's the ones where you're not sure. And if it's got a good twist at the end, that's always a good one. That means about the Conjuring. That's a good twist at the end.
What do you guys watch?
He doesn't watch anything.
Well, I think there is a big difference between horror and just being scared, like using like full kind of scenes instead of just jump scares.
Okay, which do you prefer?
Well, full horror where it actually scares you instead of just jumping once.
Yeah.
I think like if you're scared of something that could be a scary, class as a scary film. Like, I hate snakes on a plane, so worst one. So I hate snakes. So I think that's a horror film to me.
I know what you mean. I get scared of Harry Potter bit more than spiders. I don't like that.
I also think the idea of it being real
You got it in your face.
Yeah.
is more frightening. I'm not saying ghosts are real, but you know, we don't know real things. We don't know what happens when we die, so it's open to suggestion.
So how do you think we could make our training more real?
I like the British style films where the camera work is grittier, so it's not as polished. They seem more realistic. The documentary ones are always quite good.
Probably the night vision, isn't it? With the camera like that. That was.
So like paranormal activity as well.
Yeah.
Paranormal Activity, and there was another one. No, it's the one where they're in that house and it gets locked down. It's like an infection. I can't think. It's a remake of a Spanish film. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, I know what you
Wreck
mean.
or something
Yeah,
like that.
Wreck.
Yeah,
Like the Tower
it's
Block.
a remake of Wreck. It's the American remake.
Can they get locked down in the house?
Yeah, in like a
Tower Block.
apartment building.
That's really scary.
And it's got the girl from Dexter in it, one of the actors, the female actor from Dexter in it. But that's good because that uses loads of the night vision.
So what type of characters do you like with the children in there?
Do we like because it scares us?
Both really.
I think what annoys me is those horror films where you get it's just your typical characters and they get killed off in the order that you would expect them to be killed off. They're really stereotypical and actually quite racist. In the fact that usually the black guy dies and the bimbo, and the blonde bimbo dies. So I quite like films that go against the stereotype.
And she always dies towards the end in a half-naked explosion somehow.
Yeah. Shower scene.
Yeah. Never normally fully clothed. It's always just have a stereotype on it.
So you got the unexpected, really.
Yeah.
The unexpected.
Yeah. But you've got to be careful though, because you can't kill off a really likeable main character because you just annoy your audience.
Would you prefer the victim to be male or female?
I think it'd be good to see it male for once because
Yeah.
it seems, no offence to the females here, but they always seem as the victims are the females. I think it would be a nice change if the male was seen as weak and the female was a strong dominant character.
I like it when you get a kick-ass, but as a female, I like it when you get a kick-ass female.
I'm trying to actually think of a film where that happens, where it's the female that. Such a horror film.
Yeah, because our idea was to use our protagonist as a man who was bullied for his ideologies, and then he decides to take dominance and get revenge on the people who did that. So that would kind of link with what you just said, really. So he was a victim, and then he was getting revenge.
How you make it a horror as opposed to a thriller? Just something to think about.
Do you guys agree?
Yeah, I think for it to be a difference between a thriller and a horror. Thriller is about action, action, action. Horror, things like things getting inside your head.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, our idea was to do a psychological horror.
They're all the ones that get me. You lie in bed thinking, oh my god, I don't want to walk to my bedroom door, I'm not scared. And I have like that feeling. I have one. The Ring's the worst one for me. No, it's quite basic, but it's just.
Now we're going to speak to our trailers. So what kind of trailers do you like to, or what would you like to see in a trailer?
Not all the best bits.
I think that's what they do too much, don't they? In the trailers, they do the main bits of the film. That's probably the best bit of the film. And you think, well, I've probably seen this, I've seen the best bits of it. I think it's good building up like the background story and then showing a little bit of clips of what actually is going to happen. Would always help rather than going straight into the main gory bits.
And I think, like I said before, it's about the power of suggestion as opposed to showing the monster on the screen or whatever it is.
It's like in paranormal activity, you never actually see the guy in the person, whatever it is, that does it, all these things, but you know, you let your imagination run around.
What do you think?
Well, it needs to be able to make sense, but not be too obvious what everything's going to be about.
Should we go on to talk about costumes? Okay, so when you're watching horror films, do you notice any costumes that are used a lot in horror films?
Yeah, skimpy outfits for females, balls and
What do you mean by skin outfits?
they couldn't actually get any more flesh on show unless they were naked.
There's a lot of like dark clothing used. Dark.
Do you like that?
Yeah, sometimes. I like when there's like old
I
fashioned
think it fits in with the theme though, doesn't it, a lot of the time, with them colours, because it's dark and dreary, isn't it, so that's what they're using colours to reflect that. So sometimes it's difficult, if they all had like, UV party grade clothes on, bright colours, it'd be like, it'd be strange, wouldn't it? That's
Yeah,
horrible.
no, definitely. It's like Insidious, even though it's quite a modern day film, that outfit that woman wears is scary as hell because it's old and it's, it's unusual.
And the
so-
ball dances is like a hat on.
Yeah.
So which style would you prefer to see?
But I think it depends on what age it is set in. I always think if it's set in the past, as in, anything pre-1960, really, I always think it's more authentic, isn't it? More authentic. It's more funny, I don't know why. Just so
It's what they wear as well, isn't it? women are like shepherds, don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it's.
And what do you want to see apart from skinny outfits?
Anything that's like too out of place with the setting.
So could you give me an example?
Like it. Like if it was set like some snowy place and they're all in bikinis and swimwear.
Move away from bikinis, don't we?
That's everything I can think of.
And what about setting?
I think the haunted house is too,
Obvious.
it's too obvious, too basic,
They've
isn't
done
it?
too much now.
School. A school good.
Yeah, it's definitely a horror for me.
Yeah. Just do it every day. Just a normal day.
Sure, you both have, not sure, but I know you definitely probably here like late overnight when you were the only one, and
Yeah.
most of the lots were like, that is really creepy.
Especially in terms of like psychological thriller or horror. I always think those, psychiatric wards always seem to be a good setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were thinking about filming in a hospital.
And the lights flickering.
The woods, and
The woods.
very cliche, but the woods are always good.
What about music? Do you like it when it's quiet or when you only hear like one beat, or do you prefer it when it's loud crashing?
I think the quiet one beat makes it even more tense really, and I think that makes it even more scary for the audience. If it's loud and booming, it's a bit,
Like an action.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
What they do.
you always know something's going to happen, but if it's quite slow and quite simple beat, more surprise at the end because you don't think it's going to happen.
I think sometimes silence is really good as well, you just can't hear anything. And it's that really, because you're so used to sound in film, when it goes silent, it just makes you think.
And what about the age of the characters? Other than children. So would you prefer to see like an older man, a younger man, or a woman?
For me, like old people and then really young children just scare the living out. That's actually a film. I know, maybe. No, they're just good to know. I think this, because you expect old people and children to be sweet and nice and caring and that kind of, so when they kind of do like these wrong things, it freaks me out, don't it? But then I just think you could use more ages in it, and it's very good across.
It's a mix of everything.
I think you have to be careful if you go for teenagers because it's so cliched that you end up not feeling any sympathy for the characters.
So it's like a school thing.
It's a bit interesting.
I was thinking, I was like completely agree.
What do you think?
We want to have like a good mix of things so it's not all the same.